So I just bought every single water filter at REI, and my plan is to test, review, and compare all of them in this video. That way, hopefully you can get an idea of how each one works and which one will work for you. The 8 water filters I have today are the Lifestraw Squeeze, Platypus QuickDraw, Grayl GeoPress, Katadyn Befree, Sawyer Squeeze, Hydrapak Filter, Aquatabs, and the Lifestraw Sip filter straw. All of these filters are brand new, and I'm unboxing them and using them all for the first time in this video. It is so friggin' windy today. We're gonna cover how each one works, the price, the weight, the flow rate, how long they last, what they filter, basically everything I can talk about each of these filters I will go over, and then I'll let you know which ones I would personally add to my backpacking kit. So I'm out on a trail right now at a water source, and I have all 8 of the filters, and I'm gonna put them to use in a real world environment. The stream that I'm at right now is not a fast flowing water source at all, but there is a little bit of a flow. But that might be the situation that you come across when you're hiking or backpacking. You're not gonna get a big fast flowing water source all the time. So it'll be nice putting these water filters to a test where it's just kind of a little trickle. So first I have the Lifestraw Squeeze. It was $44, and it came with this 1 liter bag, and then the filter is attached to the cap. I heard you can configure this differently so the filter sits outside of the bag. Oh, there we go. I think this will be better. But we're gonna take the cap off so we can fill this bag up with the dirty water first. Now this is kind of a small opening to collect the water, but it actually works out kind of fine with this water source, just the way it's positioned. I was able to fill the bag up to that level. We'll put the filter back on. And since all these filters are brand new, it might take a little bit for the water to actually start filtering. So we're gonna squeeze it. Oh, never mind, that was right away. And honestly, really quick. So theoretically, this water filter can filter 3 liters of water in 1 minute. And I believe that. So when I'm backpacking, I prefer to sit at a water source and filter the water into a clean bottle. So this is nice, easy to squeeze, but you can also drink it straight from the filter itself. If that was the case, I would probably move the filter back to the inside of the bag. It just makes it a little bit of a more normal shape. And then put the little drink nozzle back on, and it's a normal water bottle. One thing to note with this water filter, the filter goes into the bottle until like around here. So if the water level drops below that while you're drinking from the bottle, you're probably gonna stop getting water, because if you see the water filter, the water can only go in this way. So Lifestraw does take a lot of pride into the durability of this bag. So I feel like you're not gonna get a pinhole very easily. You can throw it in your backpack. You don't really have to worry about it. Next, I'm trying out the Platypus QuickDraw. I am excited to try this out because I have seen a lot of hikers and backpackers use this, and I've never gotten my hands on one before until today. Oh. So you can clearly see how much water I was able to get from the source. I imagine a lot of these bags and filters are going to be hard to fill just because of the positioning of the water right here. But I want to say this loop is very handy. Not really for today, but if you've ever filtered water in the winter when the water's really cold, when the air is really cold, sometimes touching the freezing cold water with your hands makes them numb a little bit. I've definitely experienced that on the AT. So I collected my water without getting my hands wet, so that was very handy. This water filter does go on the outside of the bag, and this filter and the bag was $55. Let's test the flow rate. Ooh. First impression, this is literally my first time using a lot of these filters. The opening for this filter is very wide, and I felt like that made the water come out a lot quicker. You can drink from it from the bag pretty easily. Oh, it's very easy to squeeze this water into my water bottle. I don't know if it's the shape of the bag, but it kind of made it easy to grab on and squeeze. So this water filter advertises that you can also filter 3 liters of water in a minute. And it's also very compact. Like if you take the filter off and roll it into this bag, it does not take up very much space at all. Something that this filter does that the other filters don't is it actually has an integrity test. So there's a test that you can perform on this to see if it's still functioning properly and if it's still safe to use. So there's informational videos and instructions on how to do that. Filters like this can break if you drop them, if the water inside freezes, things like that. So doing an integrity test on this every now and then would be a really good idea, and it's really cool that this has that. There has been plenty of nights on my Appalachian Trail through hike that it got really cold, and I wasn't sure if my filter froze or not, so I would just buy one the next day to be safe. But if I had this, I wouldn't have to waste so much money by doing that. Next, I have the Grayl GeoPress. This was $100, so the most expensive filter that I'm using today, but I'm also the most excited to try it out because I've never tried out a filter like this. I haven't even opened it yet. This came off, and we're gonna put the dirty water in here, press down on the water, and then get clean water on the other side. I am wondering how much water I can actually collect in this. Yeah, this bottle is not flexible at all, so there's not as much maneuvering I can do at the water source to try to get more water, but we'll see how much it fills. Now I could probably go into some stagnant pools of water and really like go in and scoop it up, but that kind of makes me nervous. I always like getting water from like flowing sources, but maybe for the sake of this video, we'll try it. So let's turn the camera around. Got a little bit of a pool down there. This water has a lot of stuff in it, a lot of floating pine needles and leaves and honestly bugs. All right, actually not that bad, but definitely some pine needles and leaves in there. We're gonna put this on a flat surface, or like the flattest surface we can find. And then we're just gonna push down. Oh, maybe too much water I had in there. I heard you gotta like really give it some strength. Yeah, if you have bad hands or wrists, this might not be the filter for you, but it's going down slowly. So now all the water that I would drink from this part of the bottle should be filtered and clean. So this is a 24-ounce bottle, and it takes approximately 8 seconds to push the filter down and filter the water. So it's actually got a fast flow rate compared to all the other ones. Filtering 24 ounces in 8 seconds is very fast. It also feels a lot more simple than having to fumble with a clean bottle, squeezing, making sure the clean one doesn't tip over because that happens sometime. But the con is that this is very heavy. This is a pound without any water in there. So the coolest feature about this filter that I read about is that it's electrolyte ready. So I filtered the water. It's all clean water. I can pour electrolytes or any sort of drink mix right in the bottle and drink it, and the filter part of it is completely fine and untouched. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. I have my favorite electrolyte drink mix right here. It's Element. They're sponsoring this video, and I'm pouring the Element right into this bottle. I can put the little cap back on, give it a mix. That is so good. 24 ounces of water is a really good amount for me for one stick of Element, but you can add as much or as little water depending on how salty you like the taste of this. Sometimes when you're out hiking and backpacking, just drinking water isn't enough. When you're sweating and losing the sodium, it's really important to replace that sodium so you don't get dehydrated and all the symptoms that come with that. So the headaches, fatigue, the muscle cramps. Element is sugar-free. It doesn't have any BS ingredients. It's got really great flavors. So you really can't go wrong with bringing Element on your hiking and backpacking trips. It is my preferred way to stay hydrated, and a lot of people I know and talk to are also huge fans of Element. So if you want to go to my link, which is drinkelement.com/Nahamsha, you can actually get a free sample pack of Element's most popular flavors thrown in with your purchase. So that's 8 free sticks of Element thrown in with your order. Again, that's drinklmnt.com/Nahamsha to get that offer. And thank you, Element, for sponsoring this video. I wonder if I pull the filtered water out. Yeah, I can see all the stuff that it filtered out. I can see the pine needles and leaves in the bottom of this cup. So this filter will last 350 cycles. So 350 times that you can push down and filter the water. That's probably the lowest lifespan from these filters that I'm talking about today. But this orange part is the filter, and you can get replacements for $30. So you don't have to keep spending $100 on this filter every time it retires, expires, whatever the word is. This whole system is very heavy duty. It says you can drop it 10 feet onto concrete and it will survive the fall. Now with hollow fiber filters, you definitely need to avoid using them in freezing weather and having the water inside freeze. But this you can actually get away with using in freezing temps, although it's not completely recommended. They say after it freezes and thaws 3 different times, you should probably just replace it anyways. But it's definitely good to know if you're out there and it freezes, you don't have to immediately replace it. So the next filter is the Katadyn Befree. This filter I actually have the most experience with. I use this on both of my AT thru hikes. And what originally drew me to this is the Flowrate. I used the Sawyer Squeeze when I first started hiking and backpacking and needed a filter, and this seemed faster than the Sawyer, so that's the only reason I got it. I bought this for $53, although it is on sale right now for $40. A couple of these filters are on sale at REI, so I will put the links below. So if you're in the market, head to REI. They always have sales going on. But yeah, let's fill this up with water and see how it does. I got the 1 liter bag, and this is how much water I was able to get into it from the water source. This is the filter right here. Something about this filter is that there's openings on the side, so it just allows a lot more surface area for the water to enter the filter. I think that might be a reason why the flow rate's a little faster. Also, when I ordered this, I noticed it was called the Katadyn Befree AC, and that wasn't the case last time I ordered one. The AC stands for activated carbon. So if you open the top right here, there's this extra filter that is supposed to make the water taste better. Science. But if you do have that extra filter in there, it will slow the slow rate a little bit, but let's see. All right, I did notice I was squeezing pretty hard and the flow rate isn't as strong as I remember. Let's take that extra AC filter out and see if that makes a difference. Also, I believe the cap is upgraded. This is a very nice durable cap compared to what it used to be. Oh yeah, that's much faster. Pretty simple water filter. If you care about the taste of your water, use this. If you care about the flow rate of your filter, don't use it. Very nice cap. You can drink from this very quick. It's got the handle, pretty solid filter. All right, so now it's time for probably the most popular water filter, the Sawyer Squeeze. This is the water filter that I see most often by far. It's very widely used. It's very widely available. I believe you can just get it at Walmart. I got all of these at REI, obviously, but yeah, it's a very, very popular filter, very reliable. This whole system cost me $65, but I got the filter along with the 2 liter bag. Something that sets this bag apart from the other ones is that it actually has a very wide opening, that way, to collect water with instead of just the small opening on that end. So let's get some water. You can squeeze this to open it and collect water through there. This is how much water I got out of it. Now, I would say this would be very awkward drinking from it like this, but obviously possible. A lot of people would put their Sawyer Squeeze on their smart water bottle. If you have Miranda's new water bottle, it will go on the Migo too. Me personally, I would probably just squeeze this into my clean water bottle. I was never really a fan of putting Sawyer Squeeze on top of a bottle like this and drinking from it because I feel like you always have to unscrew it, let air in, re-screw it, and that's I don't know, not that fun to do. When I was out on the AT in 2020, I did have the Sawyer Squeeze. That was my water filter back then, and this was my method. A mistake that I have made at one time with this filter is that I lost the O-ring, which is necessary to properly filter the water. So I don't know if you can get extra O-rings or just always check to make sure your O-ring is still intact. But because of that situation, I had to then borrow a filter from a friend. And that just made the hike a little more tough logistically. Something that sets the Sawyer Squeeze apart is its lifespan. You can filter 100,000 gallons of water through it, which is just so much more, probably more than all the other filters combined. That is if you take care of it, backflush it, and don't let it freeze, fall, anything. But if you take care of it, it could probably last for every single one of your backpacking and hiking trips for the rest of your life. So this is the Hydrapak Filter Cap. And I bought this on its own for $40. And I'm actually using an old Hydrapak bottle because it attaches. This is going to be the smallest capacity from my filters today. This is how much water I was able to get into the bottle. This I feel like is the best for fast hikes, for trail running, for being ultralight. I would use a bottle this size when I'm wearing a backpack that has a water bottle pocket on the front strap. And this filter actually has a very comfortable looking bite valve. I think that's what it's called, mouthpiece. Here's a close-up. So obviously this is made to just drink straight from the bottle. Let's see the flow rate first. Oh, this takes a second to get going. We haven't dealt with that. Oh my God, did I do something wrong? Yeah, this is not a squeeze. Wow, you and I just figured that out at the same time. But the flow rate is very strong once you drink from the bottle. You squeeze it, you bite the mouthpiece a little bit, and there's perfect flow. Oh, but that's really nice that it won't leak at all. I can't even get a drop out of there. Yeah, if you're doing a quick run, you get to a water source, take this out of your pocket, scoop some in, do this, keep going. Perfect for that style of hiking. Now we are discussing a very different type of water purification because I have Aquatabs. Have never used anything like this, but I was excited to give it a try. The first thing I did when I got to this water source was take out this Nalgene and put an Aquatab in because it takes 30 minutes to work. It's actually been almost an hour, so the water inside here should be good to drink by now. I stared at this packaging for so long when I got here because there's no instructions on it. Thank goodness I did a lot of reading on all these filters before I came out here today because I knew that you could only use 750 milliliters of water for one Aquatab. I've never done anything like this before. And before I even tasted the water, you can smell the chemicals. It's not bad, but when I lifted it up, I smelt it and I can taste a little bit of like an aftertaste of all that, but it is safe to drink. Something to note with the Aquatabs is it won't filter any stuff out of it. So the pine needles, bugs, any sort of debris that you get in the water source, you might ingest. So some people out there use tabs like this to purify their water on a regular basis. I could not. I don't think I could get to a water source on a hike or backpacking trip and have to wait 30 minutes to drink the water. Sometimes I get to the water source and I'm thirsty right away. I want to camel up. I want to take water to go. So this just wouldn't work for me, but they do come in packets like this, which there's 10 tabs in this and it weighs virtually nothing. So I will definitely be adding this to my emergency kit just in case a filter that I have with me fails or I lose it or it freezes. These are really good for backup. Or if you come across anyone on trail that needs filtered water, it would be easy to hand these out because that's happened to me before. I came across someone on Franconia Ridge that was dehydrated and had no water or filter. Lastly, this is just kind of a fun one that I wanted to test out. Not something that I think I would take on a hike, but it was neat. I just kind of added it to my cart at the last minute because honestly, I wanted to review 8 filters and not 7 because I like even numbers. This is the Lifestraw Sip. So it's literally just a straw that you can put directly in a water source and drink out the top. Or if you have a bottle like this and you put dirty water into it, you can just drink it from this. A few different options on how you could use this. So this filter was $35, came with the straw and a carrying case. The straw alone is 1.8 ounces, so very lightweight. It is 10 inches long, made out of stainless steel, and has a silicone bite valve. So let's take this and drink straight from the source. I will test this in some stagnant water. If you have knee issues like I do, or you don't like bending down low, this is probably not the filter for you, unless you do put the dirty water in a cup. All right. So, quick review. I had to take about 2 to 3 sips before the water actually started flowing through this. And the flow rate was definitely not as strong as the other filters. I don't know, it has its use, probably not for hikers or backpackers, maybe more for traveling or in case of emergency. It does come with a leak-proof travel. I guess it doesn't come with a leak-proof travel case because the top pops right off. Yeah, I don't know. This is just fun to try. I am going to pack everything up and head home right now. This video's not over. I am going to go home and give you a big comparison for all of these filters. So I'm going to compare the flow rate, the lifespan, the price, the weight of all of these. I made some fun graphs so we can see exactly which one's the best, what one's my favorite, and what one you guys should get. So first, let's go over the price of all these filters. I bought all these filters at REI about a month ago. None of them were on sale. And for every filter, if it needed a storage bag to function, I also bought the storage bag. The cheapest filter or water purification were the Aquatabs. I paid $15 for a 30 pack. And the most expensive was the Grayl GeoPress. I paid $100 for that. The 6 filters in between weren't too far off away from each other. They were all in between $35 and $65. Like I said, I also bought the storage bag when I was making all these purchases just so I could use the filter properly. But if you were to just buy the filter, obviously it would be a little bit cheaper. So just the Sawyer Squeeze would be $46. The Platypus filter on its own would be $40. The Katadyn Befree filter would be $30. The Lifestraw Squeeze would be $26. And $30 for the Grayl GeoPress filter replacement. Now, the flow rate of each filter really interests me because on my thru hikes, that was something that was important to me. I just wanted to be able to filter the water as quick as possible. I had to do a little bit of conversions in this category, but the filter that came out on top was the Grayl GeoPress. Being able to filter 24 ounces of water in 8 seconds is incredible. That would convert to 5.3 liters in 1 minute. The slowest option would be the Aquatabs because you can purify 750 milliliters of water in 30 minutes. The 5 filters in the middle are all hollow fiber style filters, so they're a little more comparable to each other. Out of those 5 options in the middle, the slowest was the Hydrapak filter with 1 liter a minute, and the quickest is the Platypus QuickDraw, filtering 3 liters in a minute. I didn't include the Lifestraw Sip in this graph just because I don't know, you're just drinking through a straw. It's kind of hard to measure, but if I were to guess, it's definitely somewhere in between the Hydrapak and the Aquatabs. Obviously, there's some nuance, like all these numbers aren't completely accurate. You're not going to be able to filter 5.3 liters in a minute using the Grayl GeoPress because that would mean you would have to refill the filter 8 times, and that's just a lot. And when it comes to the Aquatabs, you could purify more than 750 milliliters in 30 minutes if you just use more tabs. Next, we're going to compare the lifespan of each of these filters because these filters aren't supposed to last forever. There is some sort of limit that you can reach that you should probably replace them at. However, like I said, the Sawyer Squeeze could could basically last a lifetime if you take care of it properly, if you don't let it freeze, drop, if you maintain it, clean it, backflush it. The Sawyer Squeeze definitely has the longest lifespan. If we're comparing the Sawyer Squeeze to all the other filters basically don't even exist on this graph. The Sawyer Squeeze can filter 378,000 liters of water before you should replace it. Second place is only like 0.5% of that lifespan. So we can actually take a look at the other 7 filters. We're just going to remove the Sawyer Squeeze from this graph for a second. The Lifestraw Peak Squeeze can last 2,000 liters. The Hydrapak can last 1,500. The Platypus Katadyn and Lifestraw Sip will last 1,000 liters, and the Grayl GeoPress 250 liters. And one package of the Aquatabs, the 30 count, will last you about 56 liters. I'm not sure what sort of testing went into producing all these numbers, and I definitely don't know if anyone out there is actually tracking how many liters of water they are using with their filters. But all of these filters will probably slow down at one point, so most people just replace them when the flow rate gets way too slow, or like I said, they break. And each of these filters has their own way of maintaining, cleaning, like I said, back flushing. Some you can just shake to clean them, but definitely look at the manual and learn how to properly take care of these filters because that will help them last longer. So lastly, let's talk about what these filters are actually filtering out of your water. The hollow fiber filters are going to be filtering bacteria and protozoa. The Grayl GeoPress is a filter and a purifier, so it's protecting against all that as well as viruses. And the Aquatabs are just a water purifier. I misspoke when I was filming this earlier, but the tabs are protecting you against protozoa, bacteria, and viruses, but they are not protecting you against any of the debris, so like the dirt, pine needles, and bugs that could be in the water. After reading about all these filters, I would say that the Grayl GeoPress probably cleans, filters, and purifies the water the best out of all of these options. A lot of the science involving this I honestly don't completely understand, but if that's important to you, definitely read up on that. That is all the information I have to give you about all of these water filters. I hope I gave you enough information for you to make an informed decision on what water filter you're going to buy if you are in the market. For me personally, if I was out to do a weekend backpacking trip right now, I would probably take the Katadyn Befree, one, because I have the most experience with that and I'm the most comfortable, or I would go for the Platypus QuickDraw. I don't know, that's just the water filter I am the most eager to try. However, I am about to go on a week-long camping trip. I'm going to be in my RV going around New York and Vermont, and I am most definitely taking the Grayl GeoPress just to have in the camper with us, or if we do a short little day hike, I might just take that too. One, because of the electrolytes, two, how quick it is, how durable it is, and yeah, if I'm doing a small hike, I probably wouldn't care about the weight as much. So that's my personal opinion on the water filters. And like I said, I'm also going to always be taking the Aquatabs with me in my emergency kit. So let me know in the comments what water filter you have, why you love it, and if you're in the market, what one are you leaning more towards? I'd love to hear. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.